Thank you, JT, and thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. I must admit I'm exceptionally humbled. When I actually looked at the panel of speakers, I thought to myself, oh. And then when I actually eventually heard when I was speaking, I thought, oh my word, I'm going to be the wrap-up girl for the whole 3 days. This is not going to work. But I'm very humbled to be here. I'm very excited to speak to you. And I sincerely hope that whatever I'm going to say, you're going to get some kind of nugget of knowledge, and even if it's a good reminder of a principle you know exists, but you haven't actually looked at it in a long time. Then I also just took my the advice from Arnold this morning, the subliminal one, seeing that things weren't going right all the time with the audio and with the visuals. I pulled all writing straight off my presentation and I put it in my hands. So this is called an Arnold Schwarzenegger when you actually read off your notes, okay? So just for those of you that don't know who I am, I'd like to just briefly introduce my family to you. I'm a married girl. I won them South Africa, and during my year met a New Zealander called Kleinhans-Curd, and after 20 days he proposed. 3 months later we were married, and it's been 20 wonderful years. I just heard JT just say something about Madiba and enemies. When I first introduced Leighton to Madiba, he said, I want to meet your young man. I hear there's a young man in your life. I said, okay, I'll bring Leighton over. And we had lunch, and he said, pulled me aside, is that a New Zealand accent? I thought, oh my word, this is now going to become awkward. I said, yes, what's wrong with our local boys? I mean, look at us. Is there anything wrong with us? Why couldn't you just choose somebody local? I said, I don't know. My heart sits where that man is, and I'm in love. And we have a lovely lunch, and I don't mention this to Leighton. And he mentions at the lunch table, oh, I know. I figured it out. You've got to keep your friends close, but your enemies even closer, Amy. Well done. So you can imagine what rugby and cricket seasons are like in our house. Leighton calls me an All Bok. He even has a logo and a brand for me. It's just unbelievable. As long as the household wins. I've got a 15-year-old daughter called Philippa. Thomas is 13 years old, and little Georgia Rose is 6. We also have a wonderful foster daughter who has lived with us since the day we were married, almost the day we were married, for about a month. We had just gotten back off our honeymoon, and I'll tell you all about that. But most of all, my passion is our business, private label promotion. I am inspired to be there. I love what I do. And basically what, in a nutshell, our group of companies actually delivers a wonderful service. We're in the lifestyle delivery business and value add to HR basis and to business to consumer basis, and also the SME market. We employ 600 people at our office. We are touching, on average, our interaction with our customers are an average of 4,000 times per hour. It is magnificent. The lifestyle industry is going places. We're growing on a monthly basis, and it's exceptionally exciting for me to be in South Africa, to be an entrepreneur, and to be involved with business. You know, many people actually ask me, Amy, how did this all happen? How did you go from where you came from, this previously disadvantaged situation, no hope, hardly any education available to us at that time? How did you do it? And honestly, you'll hear the story way beyond many people's expectations. And when JT actually asked me, Amy, would you come and speak for us? And I looked at everything that was on the videos and what you guys had done in the States. I was exceptionally excited But at the same time, I'm faced with a challenge to just go and actually look, what is it? What is it that makes you acceptable and loved and successful in your life? What is it? Then of course, I started asking, I wonder, is it nature? Is it nurture? Are we, some of us, predisposed to actually be successful? Or is it a learned skill? Can it be learned? Is it just my personality? What is it about entrepreneurs that become exceptionally successful? And of course, I love learning. I'm a qualified teacher, and I believe that life is a continuum of learning. So I thought, okay, let's go and have a look. Let's go and look at who was in your life, what lessons did you learn, and from whom did you learn these lessons of success? And whether it's on a personal or a business basis, who did this for you? Who did you surround yourself with, Amy? Because quite often you look back on your life, and I've been fortunately enough, many people actually say to me, Amy, what is it like to actually have people recognize you, call you to write about you, want you on TV? You know what the nicest about it is? I can only see the light of the situation, is that I have my entire life documented. I've got magazines and video clips and all kinds of things, newspaper clippings of my entire life documented. So that's what you guys know. Let me tell you about the things that you don't know. My first principle I live by originated from something Steve Jobs actually said. How do you make it better for others? Oh, now I tell you, I'm one of 4 daughters. My mother still today looks at me and says, my word, you were a naughty bugger. Oh, my word, you gave us problems. I wasn't the typical angel that my older sister was. I was precocious and hyperactive and all over the place. And as a result of that, I was actually ostracized by many adults and peers. You know, when you actually have that friend with that bloody naughty kid, you go, oh no man, here comes Hillary again with that Amy. So so basically what I actually had to do as a little kid, I had no choice. I literally would see how they'd give my sister more chips than me. Or ask her if she wants to go for a bicycle ride instead of me. So of course, what? You have to make an effort. You have to put your foot forward. And the way I chose to do that was to actually say, how can I make it better? How can people perceive me not just as an annoyance, but as a joy also? And you know, my first memory of that was when I was 3 years old. My mom, I still remember it. My mom reminds me about it quite often. She says, oh, you and your grandmother had such a fight this day. I was just really being annoying. And of course, I still also wanted to be loved and accepted. So what I did is, she said, I went into the kitchen and got a little dusting cloth, and there I was at 3, dusting her dressing table, putting her slippers right, and trying to also not just be an annoyance, and make it better for other people and for her. And in business, oh, I'm so grateful I was rejected as a little girl. I'm so glad I had that adversity, because I understood that if you actually want to make a difference, you've got to make it better for other people. And what I actually did is I started my dialer teacher service. I just absolutely loved my dialer teacher service because I looked at a need that I actually had. I looked at what actually was a need another child would have at 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, up to 18 years old. I looked at a genuine need. It doesn't want to click, guys. I looked at a genuine need that I had as a child. And I started the service called Dialer Teacher. I walked into the call center one evening and I said to Leighton, listen, we've got this massive infrastructure that is just skeleton staffed because we are 24/7, 365. But honestly, Leighton, what can we do with it? He said, if you can bring up an idea, I would absolutely love to fill the call center. So what I did is that I piloted the idea. I said, why can't I actually fill this call center with teachers in the evenings, and they can take calls from children who are actually struggling with homework and with projects. Teachers, I mean, if I go and write matric today, I probably would fail. We do not relate to the syllabus our children write anymore. Parents were frustrated. Teachers at the time were very frustrated in the new dispensation. They actually were not being helped at all with Chris. It's not clicking. And I then just decided I'm going to start it off as a social responsibility project. I'm going to give back in my own way. I want to make it better for the children, better than I have ever had it. And then I actually looked at the situation, tested it, and everybody absolutely loved it. But of course, you know, what is it? Access to funding. All us entrepreneurs didn't have access to funding. I had the support from the call center. I had my costings for bums on seats. I had my teachers. It was just going to be a fantastic success story. But hell's bells, where does the money come from? So I go to Madiba. I said, Madiba, I've now finished with Miss South Africa. I've gotten married. I'd love to get involved with business. He says, tell me what your idea is. He absolutely loved it. He said, education is bread. It is everything. I said, where do you from now? What do you think? I want to do it as a social responsibility project. Well, I go hunting. I go from one corporate to the next, to the next, to the next. And Leighton says to me, Amy, I promise you, you're going to get pushed back, but you just keep going. You just keep going, keep focused. The big shots are only little shots that are taking lots of shots all the time. I go, okay, I'll just keep on doing that. I also wanted to be a big shot one day. This is my early 20s. Every single corporate I go to, they go, what a fantastic idea. Do you know what? Why didn't you give it to us? We'll put it onto all our policyholders. Or, why don't you give it to us and we'll put it onto all our business banking accounts. Oh, give it. And I said, but it's not. I fought. Or did I fight? I said, that is not my vision. I want to have it as a social responsibility project available to all children in South Africa. I want all children to have the privilege to be able to have a tutor at night. When they get home, mommy can't help, dad can't help, they can call dial a teacher. Cut a long story short. Went back to Madiba. He said to me, you know what? Let's get you aligned with the Department of Education. And we start that whole process. But I'm still sitting uneasy with eventually I actually get a corporate sponsor. And it was I'll tell you how difficult it was to actually get there. But of course, you know, I started feeling about 3-4 months into the project that year. Something is you just get a gut feel. When I meet the team of the sponsor, something's not sitting right. And I kept on saying to my team, I don't know whether they're going to actually reintroduce this thing for next year. I'm getting an uneasy feeling. Well, blow me down. By the time it got to about September that year, it all started crumbling around me. The promo material was not being produced. All the functions and connections, meetings we were supposed to, they're never available for it. I thought, oh, I smell a rat here. Now I've got to actually make a plan. And you know what I did? I thought, okay, this is not actually working at all, is it? I'm going to now go back to those corporates that wanted it. And I'm going to make this commercially viable. Why not? They wanted it. But I'm going to give you exclusivity in your industry. So if you're in the cellular network industry, you can have it exclusively. If you're in banking, you can have it exclusively, either for the people, your HR base, or for a customer base of yours. And I commercialized the entire service. And now we can actually start, after all these years, a social responsibility arm. Wonderful lesson I learned. But Leighton actually said to me, Amy, that is the #1 little lesson you've learned. Is give somebody what they want, then they'll give you what you want. So in other words, all I did was approach it with what I want, what I wanted, what my vision was, what I wanted for my company what I wanted for my country. That they weren't interested. They actually did not even care. But when I reassessed and looked at where I actually made my faults, I realized, my word, I'll give it to them. They want it. I might as well help 450,000 families than nobody. And that is what we are doing at the moment. We've been alive for almost 14 years. I service 450,000 families' children, and boy, does that make me happy. So in essence, I love what Bob Higgins said, but I won't say it exactly the way he says it. Take the things that peeve people off most and solve it for them. When you actually give somebody what they want, your business is guaranteed to prosper. Second principle, building relationships. Oh, I was Miss South Africa in 1992. Absolutely amazing, amazing opportunity. I met from Margaret Thatcher to Naomi Campbell, Robert De Niro, Denzel Washington, Richard Branson, the Rolling Stones, Bill Clinton, you name it, Oprah. But my absolute best was meeting Tata Nelson Mandela. Well, is he a character? And he loves a nice-looking girl, I can tell you. He makes no secrets about that at all. After winning the Miss South Africa, this was an interesting time in South Africa. I was Miss South Africa, but I couldn't vote. I was Miss South Africa, but I couldn't marry my white husband. I was Miss South Africa, and I went to launches in Gordons Bay with a waterfront, and I sat on a sign that says, Net Blancas, whites only. So, interesting times, fascinating process, and I loved it. I majored in African history, and many of the papers and books and things that I actually had to use for my research was actually banned material. So I thought, oh, this is awesome. I'm living the dream. I'm making history. It's fantastic. And then Saul Kirsner, that wise man, decides that he wants to launch the Lost City. He's just finished building it. You know what? I'm going to buy that Miss World competition for 4 years. What better platform can you have? 80, 90 gorgeous girls arriving in southern Africa. What a pleasure. The Morleys bought it hook, line, and sinker. They had no idea what was going on. I get the crown in that August, and November, as host, I go to England. Oh, it was exciting. We go to the South Africa House. I go with the entire ambassadorial team to go and see the first international rugby match at Twickenham. Naas Botale and almal is daar. And it was exciting times. I gather all the girls. We come over to South Africa, and I am proud as punch. I mean, I'm hostess of the mostess. And we're rehearsing one evening, and I see these 6 gorgeous Arnold Schwarzeneggers walk in. And all the girls go, oh my, just with loincloth. So you don't want to show much, but you go like, oh my, what's going on there? And we all get ushered backstage, and we get our brief, and we said, each and every one of you have to actually walk out with your flag as we announce your country and your name. And the guys behind you, 3 of them, will be walking behind you and carrying your flag as you enter the Super Bowl, 9,000 people watching and the rest of the world. Flag. Interesting. Flag in 92. I go back to my room and I'm thinking, this is going to be a big issue for me. And JT, it's got nothing to do with Orange or anything, or Etienne or Mr. Smith. I just said, listen, this is not going to happen. So I go to the Miss SA committee and I say to them, I've got a little problem. I don't have a flag. Oh, yeah, we got your flag. Don't worry, we got your flag. Because we didn't tell you about it, because you went to England to fetch all the girls. All the girls internationally got their brief, but you didn't need it. We've got yours. I said, no, you don't understand. I don't have a flag because my country does not have a flag that represents me. And then everybody goes, oh shit, she's colored. This. Oh, this. Right. Saul Kersner is on the phone, okay? The editor of the report in the Sunday Times. Here's the people that came out of the woodworks. So, of course, oh my word, it was just a shocker. I then sit them down, and there's a whole mass of them, and I say, look, this is the position. I know that it's going to be a difficult one, but we have to make a decision. There were a couple of people at the table that weren't very happy with me, and I just said, I am the host. We are hosting this competition. It is an international game. We played Twickenham without the old flag. We played the All African Games, international stage, without the old flag. What is so different about this international competition? Tell me, and then I'll try and negotiate with you. But for me, it is a non-negotiable. If you force me to, I will not walk out on stage. And I will cause quite a bit of problems. Because that flag that we have at the moment does not represent my country, does not represent my people. It represents the pain of the past couple of years, number of years that we've been through. Oh, that's Saul Kersner. Here's another lesson. I know you are so right. No, Missy, you are very, very right. I agree. I'm thinking, oh, here comes something. Gets his worry beads of his out, and he goes, very, very right. What we'll do is, she wants a white flag, a flag of peace. And what we'll do is we'll just put the Sun International logo on it. It's like, oh my God. And honestly, at the time, I just said to myself, whatever. I came to a compromise. Luckily, at the time, the Miss World logo that he had was like an unveiling, so he had a beautiful mask that was actually designed for this massive white flag of mine. Oh my word. We didn't say anything. Everybody was in agreement. Not everybody was very happy, but everybody was in agreement that that was going to be happening. Absolutely no problem. Didn't notify anybody. And Amy Kleinhans, Miss South Africa. And I walk out, and oh my word, it was unbelievable to see the people's expression. Everybody was like, huh? Okay. And that next day, I came fourth. Miss Russia won. I was very happy for her because I had stuff to do in Africa. And for some reason, nobody actually thought that I'd have any flack about it. They didn't even prepare the exchange where we were staying in the Cascades. They didn't notify anybody about it. So I get these phone calls. Hoe durf jy? Sê jy's my juffrou Suid-Afrika, as jy nie eers die vlag kan vlieg nie. It's like, ja, Tannie. Okay. I got flack. I had no idea. It was one phone call after the next, and I was actually staying and sharing with a room with Miss Namibia. And she said to me, "Look, this is bad. They should do something about it at reception." But of course, those were in the days that we didn't have cell phones. And I desperately wanted to speak to my mom and dad. But I couldn't phone them. I had to wait for my mom and dad to call from their room. No cell phones. So every time the phone rings, I pick up. And I just said, you know what, I actually can't anymore. I'll just have to wait until I see my parents tomorrow evening or whatever. Because obviously the security and everything was very tight on the 87 girls. We couldn't go anywhere. We had to ask permission, and then have written permission. It was a hell of a palaver. And we couldn't find anybody because the new Miss World was crowned, and it was just upside down. And then I just said, honestly, maybe I should just go and have a bath or something. I can't do this. the phone rings and she says, answer it, maybe your dad, it may be your mom. I answer the phone and this person says, hello. I'm going, oh, here, what's a hello? I said, no, man, I can't do that. I can't do. Hello, is that Amy? I said, yes, it's Amy. I'm Miss South Africa. I'm thinking, why is his voice sounding so familiar? He says, it is Nelson Mandela. I'm like, oh no, this is actually just a sick joke. So I sit down and I'm thinking, oh no, but come on. He goes, do you know who I am? I said, if it is you, then I definitely know who you are. He says, I just want to tell you that you did me so proud. He said, you know, Amy, the fact that you used an international stage to do what you did gives me hope. He says, my word, you young lady, I can't believe how brave you've been. He says, you know, Walter and I used to sit and talk and say, I wonder if the young people of the next couple of generations are going to understand. Will they know? Will they know? Do you think they'll know? We've been stuck in jail all the time. We haven't told them. Will they know what we've done? Because we will never see it. We'll never be able to even pick that fruit. We planted the tree for them. And he said, gosh, Amy, when I saw you on TV last night, I couldn't believe what you did. Oh, he says to me, please will you be my friend? And I said, maybe I should just do it, JT. Can I just check my schedule? I said, of course. He says, please can you come home to my home and have a cup of tea with me? I want to make friends with young people like you. I'm proud of you and thank you so much for doing what you did. And you know what? And everybody speaks about relationship building and all those kind of things. But you know what? If you're not a people's person, I know entrepreneurs that don't even like people. But nobody tells you, but now how do you do it, Amy? How do you do it? How do you actually make friends and just stand around and build relationships? Somebody like Nelson Mandela, an icon, taught me that lesson. It's called recognition. It's called affirmation. When you're in front of a client, or whether you're in a social environment, tell the client, this is what you're getting so right. This is your niche market. This is what you're getting right. I've been watching you. I've been watching the market trends on you. I've been watching where you're going. I've been watching who you're doing business with. You're doing so right. And from that day, when that world icon gave me that affirmation, I applied it in every walk of my life. Whether it was a challenge with the with media, or whether it was a challenge in my business, or whether it was a challenge on my social environment, I applied it. I first say, you're doing well. You're so right. And immediately, they connect with you. Oh, I could stand here forever. Many other things that we all take for granted. My diva taught me, oh my word, we all know this, in the early days. He said to me, Amy, why are you looking so nervous? On that Friday afternoon, he said, I need to put you in front of the Minister Bengu, our first Minister of Education, because you're starting this thing. Get yourself aligned with the big players and start in government. And I go, oh, I don't know how to do that, knowing that he's leaving for Cape Town on Monday. So he actually says to me, do you want to join me? I'm going to be flying down on the private jet, and I'll actually give you an intro. So I'm going, yes, no problem. But I can tell you, I am so nervous to meet the minister and explain to him, because I'm scared of rejection. I'm scared of the pushback, because this has been an absolute dream of mine. And I'm sitting, and we just arrived in Cape Town, and we're actually just making that big. He always made them, if the winds were right, do a circle around Robben Island. And I leaned out, and I obviously looked exceptionally worried. And he says, "What's wrong?" So I said, "I'm really, are you worried?" I said, "Yes. I don't know how to get the worry out of my head." I said, "I can't, I've tried everything." He says, "Amy, you smile, smile. That minister won't even be able to resist you. Just smile." The other thing he said to me, I had to go and obviously do all my, I had to go in alone into the corporates and do all this fundraising and everything. And I said, "Okay, so you tell me." He said, no, my friend. I don't tell you nothing. You go and do your homework. Go and do all your homework of the big top 60 brands, corporate brands in this country. Go and do your homework. See who wants to align themselves with education. See who actually you want to do business with. Whose culture do you like? Who do you feel you'll sit neatly with? You go and do your business. Then you come and tell me, give me your top 5 choices. Then you and I sit and negotiate of who we're going to actually put you in front of. Go do your homework. See who you're best aligned with. And then go. It's called a warm call. Then you're not cold calling because there is some familiarity. You understand the company. You want to do business with them. There's something about them and their synergy you're going to enjoy in the future. If you want to make friends with them, then I can give you the next step. And then I remember having to walk into Vodacom, into Alan Craig's office. And it's a daunting thing to do. I'm on my own. And you know what? It's terrible if you walk into a massive office like that, and their last memory of you is seeing you in a bikini. I mean, it just doesn't work. It does not work, okay? So I'm just like, how's he going to take me seriously, for goodness sake? Can he just take me seriously? I said to Madiba, how am I going to do it? He says, "My sweetheart, you keep it simple. Do you know what you want to be, do, and have in your life?" I said, "Yes." "Do you know your target?" "Yes, I know my target." "Do you know what the end of that meeting looks like?" Okay, yes, I can now see it." "You cannot hit a target you can't see, Ames. Can you see it?" I said, "Yes." "And keep it simple. Tell him what you want and smile." A social worker, an unknown social worker, said something really interesting. She wrote it down, and many people carry it in their pockets. There isn't anyone you cannot learn to love once you've heard their story. Isn't that so true? My third principle. We've spoken about it so many times today and for the weekend past. The blessing of giving. It takes me to the story of a girl called Gugu. I was married for a month. It was June. Right about now. You know how cold it is. And Queen, who works for Leighton, my New Zealand husband, has this lady called Queen looking after him as a bachelor. Fascinating story. She's got 7 children. First birth, boy, girl, Victor, Victoria, twins. Second birth, Lawrence and Lorraine, twins. Third pregnancy, Tracy and Trevor. 3 sets of twins. And the last one was a little thing called Gugu. Oh. Well, I don't know her. So we get home from our honeymoon, and we're lying one Saturday morning, we're lying in bed. And I said to Leighton, "I can hear somebody." He said, "No, man, don't be ridiculous." I said, "No, man, I can, like 6 o'clock on a Saturday Saturday morning, what the heck? And then I hear this giggle. And I said, oh, flip. There must be a kid in the house, Latin. He goes, oh, I forgot to tell you, Gugu's come to visit. I'm going, who's Gugu? Now you must understand, I literally knew the man for 20 days. He proposed. 3 months later, we were married. And now he goes like, there's a kid. It's like, what do you mean? He goes, just calm down. Queen asked me whether Gugu can come and visit for the June holidays. So I said, yes, you can come visit. It's Queen's youngest. I said, oh, okay. He says, Googs, come in. Oh, she's got a little pink dress on, ice cold, in winter, with little puff sleeves, and she's got a towel over her one arm and a bowl of water. And she's walking in and she said, hi, morning, can I do your feet? I thought, oh, you a keeper? I said, listen, what's this all about? He goes, oh no, she loves doing my feet. So, okay, so he introduces Amy, this is Gugu, Gugu, this is Amy. And, oh my word, after about a week, I wake up one morning, I said to Leighton, I want Gugu to stay. He says, good God, it's not a hamster. Amy, you can't get bored of it and send it away. I said, no. He said, it's a human being. I said, but I can't even explain it to you. And I tried all angles. He said, okay, listen, okay, hang on. Let's actually, let's do it like this. Have you asked Queen? I said, no, but we can try. And I knew, what mother wouldn't want to have a youngest with her all the time? Soft target. We approached the Queen. He says, you know what? You haven't even asked Gugu. Maybe she wants to be with the other six siblings. And please don't persuade her and then make her unhappy. So we sat them down, and Queen says it will be an absolute pleasure to have her with us. And Gugu goes, yes, I want to stay, I want to stay. And I, being a teacher, I start assessing her. I take her to the school, local school, and I enroll her, and I tell them, please watch her because she's actually been taught in her mother language, and it's going to be a struggle, and I'm prepared to give her extra tuition. I'm prepared to help her personally. I'll do everything with her. Oh, to cut a long story short, she never coped at school at all as a 9-year-old. She then actually, her mom told me only afterwards that she used to actually vomit on her way to school. She used to walk her to street, her roads down, just so she doesn't disappoint me. She wouldn't let her mom share with me how badly she was doing. But I could see it just wasn't coping. I then took her to Rao, and everybody said, you've got to go and have an assessment. Do right by her, Amy. You can't mainstream and she's not coping. I said, no, that makes perfect sense. I get her assessed. Oh, my word, after a week later, they call us back in, and they just said to me, there were one main professor and 2 of his assistants. They said, look, we did the assessment, Amy, but we can tell you now that her formal tertiary language, English language, is 7 years behind. She's a very intelligent little girl, but we have no idea of how she's going to actually catch up to her peers. In other words, her language understanding of English is actually at the age 2. And she's almost 9. So I thought, oh my word, how am I going to do this? They said, you'll have to get her into a remedial school. You have to really watch her, support her, and the whole shebang. So I get her into a remedial school, thank goodness. I must admit, wore very bright lipstick and wore a very short skirt. I've got her in. Use what you can, hey? Ladies, do you hear that? And I got her in. We mainstreamed her 2 years. We had her in the remedial class, in the remedial school, and then later and I decided we want to move to Cape Town because we're pregnant with our first baby, and we want to have our first baby born in Cape Town, in my hometown. We up Gugu out of her school, mainstream her, take her straight through to Cape Town. Of course, applying for standard 6, grade 8 is difficult in October. Schools are full. We eventually get her into a boarding school in Simonstown, of all places. First time she ever sees the sea. Her PE activity is cadets. And she phones me from the balcony and says, Ames, you won't believe it, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 whales in the bay today. We then sent, she did very well there, but we stayed in the sea point on the other end. So I said, oh no, it's too much of a schlep for Gugu to come all the way through. She'd get on the train in Cape Town and go all the way to Simonstown on a Sunday evening. So we then put her into Weinberg Girls High, and she matriculates as head of house, because she was at hostel, with 3 distinctions in matric. Deputy head of girls. We then gap year her. We say to her, Gugu, come on girl, you can actually do this. I'd like you to actually take a gap year, decide what you want to do. Then she says, okay, I'm going to decide. She had a gap year. We put her into university. She went into Rao. And guess what? 3 years later, she gets a HR BA Communications degree. And I'm sitting in the audience and I'm thinking, do I recognize that professor on that stage? And it must have clicked for both of us. Because as they came gowned up to be capped, the same guy that actually told us he gives us no hope, he was the very same person that actually capped her. And she went, it's just so funny. And she's now head of HR at our company, 600 people strong. And last September, she asked me to be her maiden of honor. At her wedding, she says, I've done all big things with you by my side. I can't even imagine standing there, getting married, not having you right next to me. In other words, when you give. When you are taught, teach. Rockefeller himself said it is called the business of benevolence. You choose. If you say no, that is who you become. Warren Buffett himself said it is called aggregated giving. It's called impact investing. If you lead generously, then you will be generously rewarded in your life and your business. It's a guarantee. It's a universal law. The fourth and final principle, fast-tracking the mundane. When I was about 8 years old, my parents said, Amy, what do you want to be when you grow up? Now they look at me with absolute, because I was wild, okay? I know what I want to be. I'm going to be a taxi driver. My mother said, good, what of all things, what do you want to be a taxi driver for? And you know what? Chris, it's not clicking again. You know what I wanted? I wanted something that all of us I know in this room wanted. At 8, I wanted an opportunity to catapult myself into something significant. And today, I'm living it. Because you know what I did? I actually didn't maybe take the taxi out of there, but I did very badly academically at school. I wasn't the brightest button. My parents, honestly, one day I heard them saying, my mother say, oh, hey, Alf, if only the child can make JC, stand at 8th grade 10. And that actually may sound heartbreaking to you, but it was actually the catalyst to my success. I thought, bugger that, I want to actually show them. I mean, it's uncomparable. The feeling I got when my dad actually looked in the newspaper, and he took a page. He looked for my results in for matric, and he saw I actually got the university entrance. And they turned around to me, and every step of my way, they go, it's possible, Amy, it's possible. You can do it, you say you can do it. I went to university. I did my HDE, I did it at UCT. To everybody's amazement, I entered the Miss South Africa in 91. I told this English woman, Caroline, why are you entering me for the Miss SA? I mean, I know you're British, but can you see I'm coloured? Do you have any idea where the coloured get? Oh, we get in the top 3. The first princess, the token on the side. She says, don't be ridiculous. I'm sure that they've come into their own, and I feel the dispensation's changing. Africa and South Africa is ready for the political change. 91. I come back. You see that Diana Tilton Davis. I get back and I say to Caroline Harper, they placed me second. I told you so. And who won? That tall, blue-eyed, blonde woman. I'm out of here. I went traveling. My mom and Caroline actually conspired to enter me the second time. I get a call in Greece, in Athens, say, hey, you better be coming home soon because, you know, the Miss SA interviews are in 2 weeks' time. I'm going, yeah, but what's that got to do with me? Literally. I got snuck in there. Because you know what? I tried my entire life for people to take me seriously. I even have a university degree. Now you want to go and put a crown on my head? I mean, that doesn't make sense. It's like moving backward. And the lesson I learned there, in retrospect, take every opportunity, take every possibility, and all options that will take you to your crowning. And most of the time, it's the most unlikely road that you take that gets you there. So don't limit it. As J. Abrams says, all options, all possibilities, take them because you never know where it's going to lead or whether that's going to be your final glory and crowning. I just recently read an amazing book by Sheryl Sandberg, COO of Facebook. Oh, I love that woman. She's one of the 50 most powerful women in business rated by Fortunes and rated in the top 100 most influential people in the world by Time magazine. I pick up her book, and it's called Lean In. And before reading it, I like to, some people read the newspaper and the first thing they do is go to the obituaries or to the sports page. The first thing I like to read is who the person dedicated the book to. And I can't say it any better than she did. She said, and I quote, "To my parents for raising me to believe that anything was possible, and to my husband for making everything possible." This spoke to me so clearly. So I pose the question, is success nature or nurture? You know what? It's a little bit of both. And when I meet my maker one day, I want to say, I want him to know that I've done good with all he gave me. In fact, I want to tell him, I've got nothing left. I used it all. I'm here for the second round. And that is my wish for you today, is to truly live your life purpose and use it all up. Thank you for listening.